Issei, history is boring. Clearly they haven't watched Kingdom. This anime grabs the dusty scrolls of ancient China, douses them in adrenaline, and throws them straight at your face. Kingdom is what happens when you mix actual historical warfare with the energy of a shonen battle royale. So let's look at Kingdom. Our story kicks off with two war-orphaned nobodies, Shin and his best friend Piao, play fighting in a muddy yard. These kids have one simple dream: to claw their way out of obscurity and become the greatest generals under the heavens. No biggie, right? They spend their days whacking wooden swords, screaming about ambition, typical shonen startup package. But fate, with its love for drama, intervenes. Piao is noticed by posh nobles and whisked away to the royal palace for a special mission, leaving Shin behind to do extra screaming on his lonesome. At this point, you think this is your classic rags to riches training arc, until Piao returns in a pool of blood. Yep, episode 1, and our boy Piao exits stage left. R.I.P. best bud, after scribbling a mysterious map and gasping a final wish for Shin to go to a certain village. Shin, fueled by grief and shonen protagonist fury, follows the map to a remote shack. There he meets Issei, who, plot twist, turns out to be the rightful king of Qin in disguise. Surprise! Our scruffy orphan's new roommate is literal royalty on the run. Turns out the king's power-hungry half-brother, Cheng Zhao, also known as Saikyo, has staged a palace coup. Sei is now a fugitive, and Piao had been serving his body double, hence the whole stabbed-to-death situation. Thanks for taking one for the team, buddy. Shin is understandably furious. His best friend died for this pretty boy king, but before he can rage, a pack of assassins bursts in, because apparently everyone wants a piece of Issei. What follows is an unholy buddy cop escape sequence. Shin and Issei, two teenage boys who absolutely do not trust each other yet, must survive against murderous goons in a forest. Shin, swinging a sword wildly while screaming, "I'll avenge Piao," and Issei trying not to get skewered before he can reclaim his throne. It's chaotic, it's bloody, and it's the start of a beautiful bromance forged in fire. With the assassins shaken off, Issei and Shin realize they need allies to take back the kingdom. Enter the Mountain Tribe. Because what's a revolution without some literal mountain warriors dropping in? Following an ancient ally plan, the boys trek to the mysterious mountains to seek the help of Yongduan He, better known as Yotanwa, aka the Mountain Queen, aka she will literally eat you alive. Yotanwa is a fierce goddess of war who commands an army of fur-clad warriors that make Vikings look tame. Initially, she's like, who are these puny valley kids? But Issei proves his royal mettle, and Shin proves he's crazy enough to challenge anything. With a hearty dose of guts and charisma, they convince Yotanwa to lend her strength. Alliance secured. Now armed with an army and a 100 megawatt confidence boost, Issei and Shin launch a daring assault on the royal palace. It's time to dethrone the traitorous brat Cheng Zhao. This battle is Kingdom's first taste of full-scale war. Loyalist Qin forces and mountain warriors versus the traitor army inside the capital. Swords clash, arrows fly, and Shin is basically speedrunning the military career ladder from a nobody to a somebody who can mow down elite guards like grass. Along the way, he picks up a motley crew of ride-or-die comrades. Shout out to Bihei, the comedic relief, who miraculously survives every scrape. The palace hallways turn into a blood-soaked obstacle course as our heroes fight through to Cheng Zhao. And Cheng Zhao, oh boy. This kid is the OG spoiled psychopath, laughing like a maniac and sicking his brute bodyguard Ran Kai on Shin. We get an epic mini boss fight. Shin versus Ran Kai, essentially a human blender. Shin, stubborn as ever, refuses to die, or shut up, and finally takes the giant down in a flurry of slashes and a primal scream that probably echoes into the next season. Ultimately, Issei confronts his traitorous brother. There's drama, there's a stare down of royal proportions, and Cheng Zhao practically froths at the mouth in denial of defeat. Thanks to Shin's blade and Sei's resolve, the rebellion is quashed. The rightful king retakes his throne in Kanyo, the capital, and the dust settles. Shin, drenched in sweat and someone else's blood, realizes he's basically changed the fate of a kingdom in a week. Issei, now securely king, doesn't forget his scrappy sword brother. He rewards Shin with a place in the Qin army, finally, a step toward that great general dream. And while Shin can swing a sword like no other, he's hilariously clueless about court protocol. With the promise that they'll build a new world together? Aww, shonen friendship. Shin's next step on the ladder to glory comes faster than you can yell 10 hut. Season 1 doesn't let our boy rest. It throws him straight into his first real war. Kin's target is the state of Wei, and the battleground is the Deccan Plains near a city called Keio. For Shin, this is basically a dream and nightmare combo. A dream because he finally gets to be in a real army, a nightmare because the battlefield is an absolute meat grinder. Shin starts as a lowly infantry grunt, but don't worry, he won't stay lowly long. Humility isn't in his skill set. Anyway, he ends up in the unit of one General Hyo, not to be confused with Shin's late pal Piao or Duke I'm important later Hyo. Wait, actually scratch that. It is Duke Hyo. This dude is a legend on the battlefield with a face like a bulldog chewing a wasp and a personality to match. Duke Hyo charges into battle laughing, earning the title of Kin's War God of Madness or something equally subtle. He's an instinctual general, which in kingdom terms means he can smell an ambush or feel the flow of battle like it's a dance. Shin practically hero worships this crazy old warhorse on sight. I mean, how could he not? The Duke is everything Shin wants to be. Fearless, strong as an ox, and having the time of his life in the bloodbath. But Shin's not content to just watch. He's here to make a name. When the Wei army starts pushing Kin back, our hot-headed rookie seizes the moment. He rallies a handful of equally insane comrades and charges a Wei vanguard on his own. For a minute you wonder, is this kid actually human? He's dodging spears, flipping onto horses, and delivering decapitating blows like he's done this 100 times. The animators probably had a field day animating Shin's feral grin as he realizes, holy crap, I love this stuff. Blood, sweat, and a few tears, from Wei soldiers crying for mercy, of course. Later, Shin actually manages to cut down a Wei officer or two, causing a ripple of panic in the enemy ranks. Not bad for day one on the job. However, it wouldn't be Kingdom if things didn't get more extra. Just as Shin is about to bite off more than he can chew, we get an unexpected appearance by a quiet, hooded assassin girl in his unit. This is Kyukai. Remember the name because she's about to steal the show and lots of lives. Kyukai joins Shin's 100-man squad undercover, barely speaking a word, but when her comrades are in danger, she reveals herself as a literal dancing death machine. Shin and the guys are like, what the? Who is this chick? Kyukai basically saves Shin's reckless behind a few times, and though initially our boy's ego is bruised, he quickly recognizes a badass when he sees one. Thus begins the awkward but enduring partnership of the loudmouth brute and the silent assassin. Meanwhile, the larger battle rages on with peak chaos. Duke Hyo's having a blast tearing up Wei troops, but the enemy isn't going quietly. Enter Wei's big boss on this battlefield, General Go-Kei. He's a grizzled veteran with a strategic mind and a seriously annoyed expression. For a while it looks like Wei might actually overwhelm Duke Hyo's forces. Kin's foot soldiers are dropping, morale is wavering, and Shin's small heroics can only cover so much. Just when things get dire, drum roll please, we hear the laugh, a distinctive noble, oh ho ho, General Oki. The Oki arrives fashionably late to the battle like a superstar making a grand entrance. Now, Oki isn't just any general. He's basically Kin's living legend, a former great general with a half-moon mustache and a smile permanently plastered on his face as if war is an entertaining chess match. The moment he shows up, both armies collectively go, oh snap. Oki strolls in on top of his horse, surveying the carnage with amused eyes, and then casually wrecks the Wei front lines. We're talking one swing of his glaive sounds like 10 dudes flying. Oki's personal aura screams, I am 10 steps above you on the food chain. Even Duke Hyo is like, heh, about time you joined, you overconfident peacock. With Oki's reinforcement, the Kin army turns the tide. Go-Kei and the Wei troops are either retreating or dying in droves, and Duke Hyo's cackle can probably be heard all the way back in Wei's capital.
Shin, for his part, is awestruck. This is the first time he's seen a great general in action, and it's basically witnessing his dream manifest in the flesh. If Shin had anime sparkles in his eyes before, now they're practically blinding. In the aftermath of victory, Shin claims the day, and the state of Wei tastes bitter defeat. Shin's accomplishments on the field, plus some friendly word from folks like Duke Hyo who notice the crazy kid's antics, earn him a promotion to 100-man commander. Our boy is moving up. He now officially has his own squad, the embryonic form of the legendary He Shin unit. It's mostly composed of his war buddies who survived Deccan Plains. And of course, Kyokai, who by now has warmed up to Shin maybe an inch. Thus ends Shin's baptism by blood. He's no longer just a peasant with a dream. He's a rising star in Shin's military, blooded and eager for more. Lesson learned, war is hell, but if you're Shin, war is also the ultimate playground to prove yourself, and yell a lot while doing it. While Shin is busy leveling up on battlefields, things in the capital are getting real spicy on the political side. Remember Liu Belay, known as Rio Fui, the crafty chancellor of Qin, master of backroom deals and smug smirks? Yeah, he's been pulling strings while everyone else swings swords. Ace might be king, but Rio Fui is the guy with a stranglehold on the government thanks to his cronies and immense wealth. Think of him as a mix between Littlefinger and Tywin Lannister. Cunning, powerful, and always 5 steps ahead. Season 2 finds Ace and Rio Fui locked in a quiet Cold War, a political chess match that's just as intense as the actual wars. Ace's goal, centralize power and unify China under his rule. No big dreams there, nope. Rio Fui's goal, keep power for himself and maybe install a puppet on the throne. It's a tense standoff. Every court meeting is a smiling battle of wits. You half expect them to start dueling with pens and scrolls. Rio Fui is so influential that he basically tells everyone, sure, let the kid wear the crown, but I run the show. Ace seethes, but plays it cool. He knows he needs to outsmart this snake, not just stab him. Amidst this, we get a touching and brutal glimpse into Ace's backstory that explains why he's so dead set on unification, and why Zhao in particular hates his guts. Through a flashback arc, we learn that Ace spent his childhood as a hostage prince in Zhao, essentially a political prisoner living among the enemy. And let's just say the Zhao citizens were not throwing the kid any welcome parties. Little Sei was treated like crap, abused, isolated, and forced to endure unimaginable humiliation for years. It's the kind of upbringing that either breaks you completely or forges a diamond out of you. For Ace, it was the latter. He found a confidant in a kind Zhao girl named Shika, a rare friend in hostile territory, and her compassion helped him keep his sanity and resolve. But in classic tragic fashion, the cruelty of Zhao didn't stop. It culminated in Shika's death and nearly Ace's too. By the time he finally returned to Qin, Ace was a hardened steel blade of determination. Sob stories aside, Kingdom quickly returns to its regularly scheduled violence, and the spotlight swings back to our favorite battlefield braggart, Shin. Next up on Qin's war menu is an old grudge match. Qin versus Zhao, the state that tortured Ace and also has been itching for payback since that throne-stealing fiasco. Zhao's got some powerhouse generals, in particular Ri Baku, a genius tactician and stoic pretty boy who is basically the boss enemy of the series, but we'll get to him soon. First, we have the Battle of Bayou, one of Kingdom's most iconic and heart-wrenching showdowns. Zhao invades Qin territory, aiming to deal a heavy blow. Who better to defend Qin than the living legend General Oki himself? Oki rides out with a massive army, and Shin's Hishin unit, now a bit larger and more seasoned, gets the incredible honor of tagging along under Oki's wing. If Shin was fangirling over Oki before, now he's practically doing cartwheels at the chance to fight by his idol's side. Oki, amused, takes the eager youngster in stride. He even starts giving Shin some general and training wisdom, testing his instincts and very subtly grooming him for greatness. Facing them is Zhao's invading general, Hoken. Oh boy. Hoken is a name that sends shivers down spines across the plains. Imagine a hulking, muscle-bound monk who believes fighting is a form of enlightenment. He's one of Zhao's 3 great heavens, fancy title for top general, and less a man, more a murder machine convinced he's on a sacred mission to prove martial might reigns supreme. The man is a walking one-man army, an almost mythical beast who can plow through squads without slowing down. Naturally, Kingdom sets him up as Oki's polar opposite, instinct and experience versus raw, martial god terror. The Battle of Bayou spans days and is pure madness. We see large-scale strategies clashing. Ribuku makes his first grand appearance by orchestrating Zhao's moves from the shadows. That's right, Zhao's big brain Ribuku is lurking just off-screen, coordinating like a puppet master. His mere involvement sends Qin's top brass into panic mode. The guy who outsmarted whole armies is here. Crap, watch your backs. But Oki remains confident. We get scene after scene of Oki's brilliance, turning ambushes into opportunities, using terrain like a pro, and even toying with enemy sub-generals like a cat batting mice. nice. Shin and the He-Shin unit prove their worth too. At one point, they seize a Zhao stronghold almost entirely by themselves. Shin carving a path up the castle walls with Kyokai doing ninja parkour to take out archers. Total anime legend stuff. It all builds up to one of the most emotional gut punches in the series. Ribuku, being the magnificent bastard that he is, sets a devious trap. Underestimating Oki's strength? Nah, he respects it too much. Instead, he uses Oki's confidence against him. Amidst a fierce clash, Ribuku springs his surprise. He unleashes Hoken straight at Oki's location, catching the Qin general off guard. What follows is nothing short of epic tragedy. Oki versus Hoken, the veteran great general versus the monstrous martial god. They trade blows that literally shake the ground. Oki lands a strike with that iconic glaive, drawing first blood, and we all cheer, thinking maybe the legends got this. But Hoken, driven by his warped warrior philosophy, refuses to fall. He rallies and delivers a fatal counterblow, impaling Oki. Time seems to freeze. Oki, the invincible, the mentor figure, the larger-than-life hero, has been run through like a common soldier. In true badass fashion, Oki does not go down easily. Even mortally wounded, he summons enough strength to force Hoken back and protect his men in a final stand. The Qin army looks on in horror and anguish. Shin, who's been battling nearby, sees his idol falter and loses it. He charges towards Oki, desperately trying to reach him in time. In this chaos, Ribuku himself appears. The guts on this guy, strolling onto the battlefield personally to ensure Oki dies. But Ribuku doesn't even get the satisfaction of a killing blow. Oki's already accepted his end. In his last moments, Oki entrusts his mighty glaive, that symbol of his strength, to Shin's care. There's this heartbreaking scene of Oki basically saying, "Boy, you have the will. Become the monster bird of Qin," referencing a prophecy he once believed only he fulfilled, now passing it to Shin. With a final proud smile, General Oki falls. The colossal bird of Qin finally lands, never to soar again. It's a heroic death that hits everyone hard. Even Ribuku gives a solemn nod of respect. Shin is devastated. He literally screams at the sky, cradling the heavy glaive, tears mishing with the blood on his face. This is like losing a father figure and a dream simultaneously. But Shin, being Shin, he transforms that pain into fiery resolve. Right there on the battlefield, amidst the flames of war, he swears to carry on Oki's legacy. It's an anime power-up moment born from grief. You can almost see the invisible aura of determination around him. The battle ends with Qin forces withdrawing. Zhao claims a costly victory, and Ribuku cements himself as Qin's most dangerous adversary. Back in Qin, news of Oki's death is like a national tragedy. People cry in the streets. Eisei is deeply shaken. Oki was a loyal pillar of the kingdom. Ryofui, ever the opportunist, probably smirks in his sleeve because one of Eisei's biggest supporters is gone. Less competition for influence. But even he must acknowledge that a legend died.
Season 2 doesn't leave us in total despair, though. From the ashes of Bayou, new seeds sprout. Shin's unit, for one, gains serious clout for their performance. Shin himself, though grieving, uses Oki's glaive as motivation. Kyokai quietly supports him, and Eisei, he doubles down on his ambitions, knowing now he has to foster a new generation of heroes since the old guard, like Oki, are fading. He's got his eye on Shin and others like Wangben and Meng Ten, scions of great families who are peers to Shin, introduced around this time as rivals/comrades. The race to become Shin's next great general is on, and our boy Shin is leading the shonen pack. To cap off the season's political spice, Ryofui isn't resting either. He capitalizes on the aftermath of Bayou to propose something bold, an alliance with Zhao. Wait, what? The Chancellor of Shin wants to buddy up with the state that just killed Qin's greatest general? It sounds crazy, but it's classic Ryofui strategy. Keep enemies close, buy time to consolidate power at home. In a move that surprises everyone, Ryofui invites Riboku to Shin's capital Kanyo for peace talks. Yes, the architect of Oki's demise strolls right into the Shin royal court. It's a scene dripping with tension. Shin ministers are watching this like hawks. Shin and friends are itching for payback, but Riboku, cool as ice, meets King Eisei and Ryofui with courteous smiles. He proposes a truce and even drops an offer.
Zhao and Shin stop fighting for now, maybe even tag team some other weaker state in the meantime. It's a diplomatic dance with daggers behind backs. Ace agrees to a ceasefire, for now, partly because he's not ready to face Zhao again immediately, and partly because he needs to focus on Ryoflei's domestic threat. Riboku leaves Kanyo alive, and an uneasy peace falls between Shin and Zhao. Behind closed doors, though, Ace knows this alliance is a farce. Just a stall. Zhao will come for Shin eventually, and vice versa. Ryoflei, meanwhile, is leveraging the peace to tighten his grip on Shin's politics, aligning noble families and even Ace's own mother, the Queen Dowager, to his side. That's the shadow war of Kingdom's throne. Something about to explode. But for now, Season 2 wraps up with a bittersweet note, the end of an era, and the dawning of another. As Shin licks its wounds from Oki's death, the series wastes no time before throwing us into another large-scale conflict. Because why mourn when you can war, right? This time, it's Shin on the offensive again, and the target is the state of Wei. Those guys just can't catch a break. More specifically, Shin aims to seize a strategic city called Sanyo. If you thought previous battles were big, the Sanyo campaign cranks up the scale even more because leading Wei's defense is none other than Renpa. Now, Renpa isn't your ordinary general. He's one of Zhao's former 3 great heavens who got exiled and then hired himself out to Wei. Renpa is a grizzled, old badass with a Buddha-like bald head and a personality equal parts jovial and terrifying. He's the kind of guy who'll laugh with you over wine one second and chop your head off the next. Shin sends an army commanded by General Mogo and includes a bunch of young hotshots to get their trial by fire. Among them, our boy Shin, and debuting on the battlefield are Ohan and Mo-10. These two are essentially Shin's rivals/frenemies. Ohan is the stoic, prideful son of Oki's comrade Osin, with a stick up his butt and skills to back up his arrogance. Mo-10 is the laid-back, tactical prodigy son of Mogo, who fights with a smile and has way more brain cells than Shin and Ohan combined. The trio form a dynamic. Shin's the guts and glory guy, Ohan is all discipline and elite training, Mo-10 is clever and adaptable. Watching them compete and cooperate is a treat. Think of the classic rookie trio trope, each trying to one-up the others while begrudgingly learning to respect each other. The Battle of Sanyo is a slugfest of old versus new. Renpa feels his renowned 4 heavenly kings. These dudes aren't no pushovers. There's the agile swordsman Rinko, the massive glaive wielder Genbo, strategist Kane, and the shield guy whose name escapes me, but he was tough as nails. On Shin's side, aside from our young trio, we have veteran generals and thousands of grunts ready to become nameless statistics in Kingdom's running body count. The animators must have worked overtime animating hordes of tiny armored figures clashing outside of Sanyo's walls. Shin, Ohan, and Mo-10 each get moments to, well, shine and nearly die naturally. Shin's He-Shin unit spearheads charges like an unstoppable battering ram. He has this habit of being where the battle is the hottest, partly because he's the vanguard and partly because Shin loves the heat of battle like a moth loves flame. He squares off with one of Renpa's big 4, Rinko, in a duel that really cements Shin's growing rep. Rinko is an experienced assassin-like fighter, swift and deadly, and even Kyokai has trouble with him. Yes, our Queen of Killing meets her match and gets wounded protecting Shin. The Shin versus Rinko fight is intense. Sparks flying, swords clanging, Shin digging deep into that shonen reservoir of grit to overpower a far more experienced foe. When Shin finally strikes Rinko down, even Renpa takes notice. Like, okay, that kid's something special. Potential great general alert perhaps. Not to be outdone, Ohan leads a brilliant cavalry maneuver that slices through enemy lines. And Mo-10 concocts a crafty ploy that saves a bunch of Shin lives at a crucial moment. The audience is treated to a buffet of strategy and valor. But the real highlight is the final showdown with Renka himself. After Shin manages to capture Sanyo, Renpa refuses to go quietly. Instead of skulking off, the old warhorse challenges any Shin general to a duel. It's a matter of pride. He wants to gauge the strength of Shin's next generation firsthand. They exchange a few blows in an awe-inspiring clash. Ultimately, Renpa concedes that Shin's young blood and new tactics have outplayed him this time. He laughs, gives props to the kids who impressed him, and then Renpa just packs up and leaves afterwards, having no interest in serving a state that tied his hands. For Shin and Co., victory at Sanyo means big promotions. Hello, 3,000-man commander rank. The Hishin unit takes in fresh blood to fill their losses and swells in size. And our boy Shin? He stands on the captured walls of Sanyo gazing outward, knowing this is just one step on a much longer road. Still, you can't wipe that grin off his face. He helped defeat a legend. He's proven he can hang with the big boys. After all, how many rookies can say they slashed a heavenly king to bits? His confidence is at an all-time high. And so is ours. Little does Shin know, though, that he's about to face the biggest challenge yet that'll make every battle so far look like a warm-up. Because while Shin was busy at Sanyo, the rest of China had been cooking up something huge. Enjoy the moment, Shin. The coalition invasion is right around the corner, and it's going to make everything, and I mean everything, go absolutely off the rails.
Just when Qin might be feeling a bit too good about its conquest, the universe says, not so fast. Enter the Coalition Invasion arc. The premise? 6 rival states, Zhao, Chu, Wei, Han, Yan, and Qi, form an unprecedented alliance to annihilate Qin. They all finally agree on something, that Qin's growing too strong. It's the largest military coalition in warring states' history. And if you think that sounds insane, it absolutely is. We're talking hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of troops marching like an endless tidal wave towards Qin's borders. It's the kind of army size where you wonder if there will be any peasants left to farm back home. If this were any other show, you'd think, there's no way the heroes survive this. But this is Kingdom, and Qin is basically the shonen protagonist of nations. Back against the wall is where the magic happens. The coalition splits its gargantuan forces into 2 main fronts. One head to smash through Qin's impregnable gateway fortress, Honggu Pass. The other, led by Riboku himself, sneaks around to hit the softer target, a city called Sai, en route to the capital. Qin, caught with his pants down, has to mount a desperate defense on both fronts with what initially looks like far too few troops. It's oh crap o'clock for King Ace and his generals, but Qin didn't come this far to just roll over. They mobilize every capable general and soldier they can find. This is the all-star game of Qin's side too. Formidable General Mobu returns to action, Kanki and Osen all join in. Now, the battles. Oh boy, the battles. At Honggu Pass, Qin's legendary impregnable fortress, the coalition throws everything, including the kitchen sink. Siege towers, battering rams, waves of suicidal infantry. It's like a zombie horde assaulting a fortress, except the zombies are well-trained soldiers from 5 different nations. General Mobu is holding the fort, literally, alongside crafty General Osen and devious General Kanki. It's a wild trio. Mobu is the Hulk smash of Qin, Osen is the Batman, and Kanki is like Jack Sparrow with war crimes. Unpredictable, cheeky, and a bit terrifying. The coalition nearly breaches Honggu multiple times, leading to sequences where every named character gets a heroic moment. But even these tactics can't fully stop the coalition tide. So what does Qin do? They open the gates. Wait, that sounds dumb. But here comes Mobu's moment. The giant Chu general Kan Mei has been swaggering about untouchable until Mobu goes, all right, enough. 1v1 me, bro. They literally let Kan Mei's forces in enough for Mobu to challenge him to a duel of titans right in the pass courtyard. And what a duel. Kan Mei versus Mobu is like watching 2 mountains collide. Every punch and clash sends shockwaves and hapless soldiers flying, fueled by loyalty, adrenaline, and maybe a teeny bit of, did you just threaten my king, you oversized oaf? Mobu unleashes his full strength. In a punch-pumping sequence, Mobu pummels Kan Mei into the dirt, eventually cracking the giant's skull. Chu's strongest falls, and the coalition army collectively gasps. That's one big bad down, morale shaken. Qin roars in victory and pushes back harder at the pass. Meanwhile, in the city of Sai, we get a completely different but equally epic scenario. King Ace himself decides to step up. Seeing that Sai has a small garrison and mostly civilians, Ace famously says, if Sai falls, Qin falls. So, guess what? I'm going to Sai. Yep, the king of Qin goes to the front line to lead the defense personally. He disguises himself as a simple general at first, not wanting to cause a panic or be a prime target, and works with veteran statesman Shou Bunquin to rally the people. Shin and the Hishin unit are dispatched to help hold Sai too. Because, of course, if there's an impossible battle, you send Shin. He's like a magnet for crazy odds. The siege of Sai has major Helm's Deep vibes, but with the twist that most of the defenders are untrained villagers armed with farming tools and sheer desperation. The Zhao forces under Riboku's direct command swarm the city. Initially, the citizens are terrified. Morale is rock bottom until Ace reveals his identity in a dramatic rooftop moment. People who were about to desert feel courage ignite. Grandma's grabbing spears, little kids are throwing rocks. It's all out defend the homeland fervor now. Even so, the fight at Sai is brutal. The Zhao waves, led by Riboku's capable generals, keep coming. Our protagonists nearly bite it multiple times. Shin racks up a kill count that would make Rambo proud, but even he's flagging after days of non-stop combat. We witness heart-wrenching losses among Shin's close comrades, the kind of secondary characters you've grown to like over arcs suddenly dying heroic deaths to plug a breach or save Shin from a stray arrow. It's war. Kingdom doesn't shy away from the sacrifice. Just when it looks like Sai's walls will fall. Remember Mountain Queen Yotanwa? Asai had secretly sent word for aid before he left for Sai. At the 11th hour, Yotanwa and her massive army of mountain tribes storm onto the scene. They come howling out of the forests, leaping over cliffs, attacking the coalition from the rear. It's glorious. The Zhao troops are like, what fresh hell is this? As these fur-clad warriors tear into them. Yotanwa proves again she's the queen of clutch saves. One moment stands out. Yotanwa versus the leader of some foreign tribes allied with Zhao. A vicious duel where she, the queen in war paint, overcomes a huge brute, asserting that the mountain folks are not to be underestimated. Her timely arrival basically flips the script at Sai. The Zhao forces, now caught in a pincer, collapse into disarray. Riboku, the ever-calm strategist, realizes the gig is up. Chin's not falling today. He orders a retreat, accepting this loss to fight another day. Hoken, who was rampaging around, also withdraws. The coalition army at Honggu Pass similarly pulls back once word spreads that Sai held and their giant Chu general is worm food. Qin has survived. Barely. The aftermath is both triumphant and sobering. The coalition invasion fails, and the alliance dissolves as quickly as it formed. Qin, against all odds, protected its homeland. Celebrations erupt. Shin's name spreads even further for his valor, and Asai's heroism win the hearts of many citizens and soldiers. For the Heishin unit, the coalition war is both a badge of honor and a deep wound. They held the line at Hell's Gate, and many paid the ultimate price. Shin himself is battered, having pushed past physical limits. There's a somber roll call of the fallen, moments of silence for dear friends lost. But there's also a renewed sense of camaraderie and purpose. After living through the apocalypse together, the bonds in the Heishin unit are ironclad. Kyokai, who is dancing on the edge of death to protect everyone, finds herself more emotionally attached to this ragtag family. In the grand scheme, the coalition arc is Kingdom's magnum opus of hype. It had everything. Colossal battles, nail-biting suspense, big character moments, and a resolution that felt both earned and exhilarating. We end Season 3, and whatever's next comes sooner than one might think. Because even though Qin survived the coalition, the aftermath just opens new cans of worms. Strap in, because the wars between states might pause, but the wars within Qin are about to heat up, and a certain assassin waifu has unfinished business too.
After the battle pyrotechnics of the Coalition War, you'd think Qin could take a breather. Nope, peace is just a prelude to more drama. With external enemies temporarily at bay, the spotlight turns inward to politics and personal vendettas, both of which in Kingdom are as lethal as any battlefield. First off, we have the aftermath at court. Chancellor Ryo Fui, who had been Qin's puppet master for years, realizes his influence is slipping. King Issei's popularity soared after Sai. People start thinking, hey, maybe a real king who leads from the front is better than a shady chancellor pulling strings. To make matters worse for Ryo Fui, a chunk of his political allies died in the war or lost standing. Sensing the shifting tides, Ryo Fui begins maneuvering for one final play to secure power. He cozies back up to the Queen Dowager, Issei's own mother, who, let's just say, has not won any Mother of the Year awards. The Queen Dowager has felt sidelined. She and Ryo Fui have a complicated relationship. Past lovers, co-conspirators, it's all very royal family soap opera. Issei, for the record, trusts her mom about as far as he can throw her, and he's not tossing any moms today. So here we have it. Issei and his loyalists on one side, and Ryo Fui plus Queen Mom on the other, each gearing up for a showdown without openly declaring it. The tension in Kanyo's palace is thicker than Dukyo's armor. While bigger wars brew in the background, Kingdom gives us a sharp, intimate detour, Kyokai's revenge arc. Remember, she's from that creepy assassin clan where claiming the title of Shiyu meant killing the competition, and her sister, Kyosho, was taken out by none other than Yu Ren, the cold-blooded rival who clawed her way to the top. Kyokai hasn't forgotten. After the Coalition War, she straight up dips from the Heishin unit like, I'll be back, got personal business. She heads into the fog-drenched forests of Zhao to hunt Yu Ren down, walking into what's clearly a trap. Yu Ren's lackeys swarm her, but Kyokai carves through them like a spirit in motion. Along the way, she reconnects with Kyomei, a quiet ally from the old days, one of the few people in that twisted clan who still has her back. Mei points Kyokai toward Yuren's hideout and later plays the role of quiet guardian. Then comes the showdown. Kyokai versus Yuren, two Shiyu-trained killers going blade to blade under the mountain mist. Yuren dominates early, ruthless, relentless, totally in control. But Kyokai isn't just fueled by anger, she's fueled by memory, by loss, by purpose. When she's pushed to the brink, she enters the forbidden trance, the priestess's dance. And in that heartbeat, everything shifts. With a flurry of strikes, Kyokai breaks through and drives her blade straight through Yuren's heart. No drama, no speeches, just precision and closure. Afterward, she entrusts Yuren's body to kill Mei, both to hide the corpse and to delay the next succession bloodbath. Mei also tends to Kyokai's injuries as she recovers in the wild. No rescue arc, no Shin charging through the forest, just quiet healing, the kind that takes time. Kyokai stays gone for over a year, and when she finally returns to the He-Shin unit, she doesn't say much. She doesn't need to. Shin sees her and knows. The storm inside her has passed. No confessions, no fanfare, just two comrades, back on the path again. With Kyokai's vengeance arc wrapped up, the focus shifts back to the political powder keg in Chin. The court intrigue hits critical mass when the Queen Dowager's scheme comes to light. She's formed a third faction, separate from both Issei and Ryofui. Plot twist, she's not doing this alone. She's allied with a man named Rawai, a former plaything of hers. She essentially turned this commoner boy toy into a faux aristocrat and then into a figurehead for her cause. Together, they stage what is effectively a coup from within, declaring a new state of I. It's brazen. The Queen Dowager, of all people, basically yells, "I'm founding my own kingdom, screw y'all." And a chunk of the royal army befects to her because she promises them, I don't know, cookies? Probably high positions and lots of gold. This becomes known as the I Rebellion, and it's equal parts shocking and chaotic. Issei's own mother has betrayed the nation, talk about family drama on a nuclear scale. Ryofui, meanwhile, is playing both sides like a fiddle. He supported the queen's ambitions under the table, figuring that either she'd weaken Issei or at least keep him too busy to challenge Ryofui directly. The guy is nothing if not cunning. He wants to be the last man standing after Issei and Queenie wear each other out. But Issei is done with all the BS. He anticipated something like this and kept a trump card, Shin and the He-Shin unit, our ever-reliable agents of chaos. While one of Issei's half-brothers, Sei-Kyo, the same one Shin helped dethrone in Episode 1's Rebellion, but was spared and his sense mellowed out, actually leads an initial loyalist army to retake Ai, he falls into a trap. Rawai and the Queen's forces ambush Sei-Kyo's troops at Tonlu, their fortress city. And spoiler, Sei-Kyo sacrifices himself in a last stand. Yeah, the formerly villainous brother redeems himself by fighting to the end for his brother the king. Who'da thunk it? It's a surprisingly emotional turn. Shin, despite once fighting this guy, mourns his passing and recognizes his valor. With Sei-Kyo gone and the rebellion still raging, Issei says, enough. He dispatches Shin's He-Shin unit and other loyalist forces straight to Tonlu to end this once and for all. What ensues is a storming of Tonlu Castle. Effectively, Kingdom does urban warfare. Shin's men break through Rawai's lines in the streets. It's gritty and brutal, fighting house to house at points. Rawai, more cowardly than competent, tries to flee but gets captured. The Queen Dowager barricades herself, perhaps thinking her status will protect her. But Issei shows up personally, because he's done with delegating his family issues. There's this cold confrontation between mother and son. She hurls resentments. Issei stands firm, basically telling her she's done enough harm. Ultimately, Issei spares her mother's life. He's not heartless, and executing mom might be a bit far even for him, but he exiles her from politics permanently. Her boy toy Rawai isn't so lucky. Depending on whether they follow history closely, that dude likely gets executed or banished and later killed. Coup crushed, mic dropped. Ryofui's web of influence finally cracks. His collusion with the queen is exposed, making him look real bad. Issei, now formally an adult and the crowned king, he has a grand coronation after all this, basically calls out Ryofui. In a final tense exchange, Issei presents Ryofui with two options: submit completely to the throne or face dire consequences. Ryofui, proud and calculating to the end, chooses a third option: voluntary retirement. He steps down as chancellor, hands over authority, and accepts exile to his estates, which is the polite way of getting out of Dodge. It's a strangely civil end for such a dangerous foe, but also poetic. The once all-powerful Ryofui, outmaneuvered at last, bows out rather than risk open conflict against a now unified Qin under Issei. Of course, he leaves a parting letter to Issei, something philosophical like, "We were two sides of the same coin." Classic villain with respect closure. For Shin and Ko, quelling the rebellion further cements their status. Shin's now basically the go-to problem solver for the kingdom. Be it foreign armies or seditious nobles, just point Hishin unit at the problem and let them do their thing. And he wouldn't have it any other way. He even jokes afterwards that fighting inside a city was a nice change of pace, but the open battlefield is where I truly belong. Ever the war junkie that Shin, with the internal threats handled, Qin can finally refocus on the grand goal: unifying China. Issei has full royal authority at last, and he's got a slate of loyal generals to make that dream a reality. The stage is set for the next phase, taking the fight to the remaining 6 states one by one now that Qin's house is in order. But those states aren't just sitting quietly waiting to be conquered.
As Season 4 moves to a close and Season 5 begins, Kingdom shifts gears back to external warfare, because we know Shin's sword has been getting antsy. With Qin's political scene stabilized for now, it's time to start chipping away at the other states in earnest. Qin's first target in the post-coalition world? Wei. Again, those poor guys. Qin really has it in for them. But Wei's not defenseless. They've still got some scary, strong dudes, specifically the remaining Fire Dragons of Wei, a group of veteran generals whose nickname sounds like a biker gang, but basically means the 7 strongest Wei warriors. We're introduced to a couple of these big shots, Gai Mao and Earl Shi.
Now, General Gai Mo is an absolute monster, a hulking brute with a polearm the size of a small tree, and a voice that booms across the battlefield. He's been itching for action since being unchained, and when he hears about Qin's rising stars, he's practically drooling for a challenge. So, naturally, he sets his sights on Shin. Meanwhile, Earl Shi, the cold, unflinching spearmaster of Wei, locks horns with Oh Han. It's the new blood of Qin versus the old lions of Wei, a straight-up generational showdown. The battle unfolds like a well-tuned RPG boss rush. Shin squares off against Gai Mo, and it's brutal. Gai Mo hits like a battering ram, tossing Shin around with his first few swings. Shin's no pushover. He digs deep, recalling his training with Oki's glaive and trying to find an opening, but Gai Mo's sheer power keeps the tide against him. Just when it seems like Shin might find his rhythm, the fight gets cut short. Gai Mo gets recalled to regroup after things go sideways at Wei's HQ. It's unfinished business. No winner, just 2 warriors with more to prove. On the other side, Oh Han versus Earl Shi is a technical masterclass. Earl Shi's spear work is fast, fluid, and unforgiving. He nearly breaks Oh Han early, knocking him off his horse and pressing hard. But Oh Han's no stranger to pressure. He adapts, analyzing Shi's movements and finding something no one else had: a death wish. Earl Shi fights without regard for his own life, leaving just enough of an opening. Oh Han seizes it, one clean, ruthless thrust that pierces Shi straight through. Earl Shi goes down, 1 fire dragon extinguished. Back at Qin's camp, Kairio 10 is stepping up big time, calling shots and commanding with growing authority. But that spotlight paints a target. Wei snatches her in the chaos. A strategic kidnapping. The whole Hishin unit's rattled, especially Shin. He's ready to tear through the battlefield to get her back. But cooler heads prevail. With some sharp thinking, and Kyokai doing Kyokai things, they capture Gai Mo's strategist and pull off a tense hostage swap. Ten's shaken, but alive. And when she gets back, she doesn't miss a beat. She's more determined than ever to rise, not just as a tactician, but as someone who can stand her ground no matter who's watching. The Wei Fire Dragon's arc ends in a Qin victory, a hard-fought one that sees Shin and Ohu Hon promoted again. The battle of wits and courage basically passes the torch. The old generation of Wei was mighty, but Qin's youths proved mightier in the end. Flush from this win, Qin's leadership decides, all right, who's next? And the answer is Zhao, the state that has long been Qin's toughest adversary, and who still houses Ri Boku, the man who nearly destroyed Qin in the coalition. Zhao has a juicy target, the fortress city of Retsubi, and beyond it, the valuable region including Zhou City. This kicks off the Western Zhao invasion that extends into Season 5 and beyond. Now this is a campaign that promises to be even larger than Sanyo or Fire Dragons. Qin sends 3 of its new 6 great generals, led by Osen, Kanki, and Yopanwa, along with their massive armies, including all our favorite units like Hishin, Gyukuho, Gakuka, etc. It's an all-in push to carve out a chunk of Zhao.
But before we wrap up our recap of Kingdom, one highlight from Season 5 deserves special mention: the Battle of Kokuyo Hills. This is an early clash in the Zhao campaign where Qin tries to outmaneuver Riboku's forces in rough, hilly terrain known as Kokuyo. Kanki is up against General Kei Sha, one of Riboku's best, nicknamed the Hunter for his patient and lethal tactics. This battle is a roller coaster, particularly for the Hishin unit. At Kokuyo, Shin experiences one of his harshest defeats. Not a total loss, but a gut check like never before. Kei Sha essentially outplays the Qin armies initially, setting traps and ambushes. In one nightmarish night raid, a Zhao force ambushes the Hishin unit's camp, causing massive casualties. It's chaos under the moonlight, tents on fire, soldiers screaming, Shin scrambling to restore order while watching many of his men cut down in their sleep. It's a personal hell for Shin, who prides himself on leading from the front and protecting his crew. Seeing his friends die because he didn't anticipate the enemy's ploy absolutely wrecks him. For a moment, you see doubt flicker in his eyes. Could it be that brute strength and guts aren't enough? Maybe he's not cut out to command thousands. Kyokai and Ten rally to pull him out of that mental spiral. Ten, despite her own shaken state, advises Shin on a counter plan. Kyokai leads a counter ambush to guard their flanks. The Hishin unit bandages its wounds, literally and figuratively, and steels itself for payback. When the decisive engagement at Kokuyo arrives, Shin is back to his fiery self, but with a newfound respect for strategy and caution. Kanki uses some underhanded genius stratagem, for example, lighting signal fires to mislead the enemy, and creates an opening. Shin seizes that moment to challenge General Kei Sha directly. This duel has been building. Kei Sha's the one whose plan killed many of Shin's comrades, and Shin's ready to throw down every ounce of will to settle the score. It's an electrifying fight across rocky hilltops, Shin charging with Oki's hefty glaive, Kei Sha parrying with calm, lethal intent. They trade blows and tactics. Kei Sha even feigns a retreat at one point to lure Shin into a vulnerable position. But Shin, learning from earlier mistakes, doesn't fall for it. In a climactic final clash, Shin unleashes a gargantuan swing, cleaving through Kei Sha's guard and slaying the Zhao general in one clean hit. The hunter becomes the prey, felled by our raging might makes right protagonist. Kei Sha's death is a huge blow to Zhao's side. It's also Shin's first kill of an enemy general of that caliber by himself, a milestone on his resume. Yet the victory is bittersweet. After the battle, as Prospect's forces take stock, Shin walks through the rows of his fallen men, realizing the heavy price paid. There's a poignant scene of him ordering a burial for not just his soldiers, but also marking respect for Kei Sha, a formidable O. It marks Shin's growth. He's still hot-blooded and simplistic at times, but leadership has carved wisdom and empathy into him. With Kokuyo 1, Season 5 concludes around here, leaving us at the precipice of an even larger Zhao conflict, the Siege of Zhou and the face-off between Riboku and Osen, two strategists at the top of their game. But that's where the currently aired material stops. The anime hasn't yet delivered the conclusion of the Western Zhao arc. That's coming in Season 6 and beyond. So, as of now, we've covered every major battle, bloodbath, betrayal, and badass moment up through Season 5. And what a journey it's been. So here we stand at the end of a marathon recap of Kingdom, with blood on our boots, adrenaline in our veins, and probably a newfound urge to yell, "Whoa!" at random moments. What makes Kingdom such a wild ride? Maybe it's the sheer scale, battles the size of small countries, stakes that keep skyrocketing until you're convinced the show can't possibly get any crazier, and then it does. Maybe it's the characters, a motley crew of loudmouths, geniuses, warriors, and even a bandit or two, all so larger than life yet human enough that we cheer, laugh, and cry with them. Either way, if you enjoyed watching this recap, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new here.